Imagine one of your friends asking you to try out a new game. You go to the Steam store page, you see the price, and it's $10. And now you're not even sure if you want to play the game anymore. Now imagine if that game was $60 and it's in a genre you're not even sure you like. That's the sales pitch of most modern fighting games nowadays. Fighting games have always been behind when compared to other games on aspects other than gameplay, but in the past 5 years or so, the genre has made some great progress on catching up to the modern gaming industry. With rollback netcode, you could actually play the games online. Better late than never, I guess. But one of the aspects they're still behind on is monetization. Street Fighter 6 costs $40, and if you want all the characters, that's gonna be at least $130, considering each season pass is $30 for 4 characters. What about Guilty Gear Strive? $40 for the base game, $80 for all the characters, $120 total. And people say things were worse back in the day. You would buy Street Fighter 4 for $60, and if you wanted updates, you'd have to pay $40 for the new editions, so that adds up to $180. But Arcade Edition and Ultra was only $20 for those who owned the previous iterations, so that's $40 cheaper, totaling at $140, which is actually about the same as prices today. A positive side effect of this is that newcomers could just buy Ultra Street Fighter 4 for $40 and get that with all the characters, which is better compared to modern fighting games. BlazBlue was definitely a bit worse with this. It's hard to find accurate launch prices for these games, but from what I found, it totals to about $270. I'm not gonna say that's not an absurd price, but $270 spread across 9 years is $30 per year, and that's pretty standard for season pass prices nowadays. The value proposition for a fighting game was also way better back then. I know I joked about Quake releasing in the 90s earlier, but multiplayer gaming wasn't as widespread, and it was around the time when games were still transitioning to the online era. Paying $60 for a game you and your friends could play together for countless hours wasn't too bad considering your other options at the time. But nowadays you can play these games for free, so you can see why fighting games are a hard sell. And it's not even about gamers not having money. I'm sure you know this, but games like Valorant and League make bank off of selling skins. How can someone spend $120 on skins and not $60 on a game? Accessibility. By lowering the barriers of entry, you allow more people to try your product, and if they like it, they're more likely to become a customer. As a matter of fact, I properly got into fighting games because around 2019, BlazBlue was $5 on sale, and so was Unist. From there I got familiar with the genre and started trying more games that weren't as cheap. What about Fightcade and Community Editions? Those are free? Well, yeah, but unless you're really interested in older games, they're not really something most people know about. Again, with the accessibility thing, it's not the same as just having a free store page up on Steam. There's been a couple of free-to-play fighting games coming out from indie developers, and from what I can see, some of them have built up small but dedicated communities. However, recently it seems like major fighting game studios are finally trying out the free-to-play model. So let's take a look at them.
Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising.
The free-to-play edition here gives you access to a few offline modes, online lobbies, ranked, and the Fall Guys mode. The catch is that you can only play as grand entry rotating characters, which in my opinion is too limiting. I'd like to see them make the 11 base characters from the original game free, or maybe even limit it to 8 if 11 feels like too much. This game is weird because it has all the functionalities of what you'd expect from a modern free-to-play model. You earn in-game currency by completing daily missions, and you can spend that currency on DLC characters and alternate outfits or weapon skins. It also has a paid battle pass system. All of those combined makes me think they wanted to go with a true free-to-play model at some point but decided not to. Overall, it makes for a passable experience but leaves a lot to be desired. "2XKO is the game that everyone's currently talking about, and this is the first time we've gotten a proper modern free-to-play model fighting game from a major studio. It has a lot in common with other free-to-play games by Riot. You have full access to the game as a free-to-play, but you only start with a small pool of characters. To get more characters, you can earn in-game currency by playing the game and doing missions, or just straight up pay real money. There's also a battle pass, weekly rotating skin shop, $100 skin bundles, and everything else you can come to expect from a Riot game. All in all, it's a pretty good experience for a free-to-play game. I've seen a lot of complaints about the absurd skin prices, and yeah, they're pretty stupid. But in the end, those are purely cosmetic and don't affect gameplay. Aside from those 2 games I just mentioned, you're already getting into niche territory, which isn't bad mind you, but it circles back to my point about being accessible. I'm not saying every game has to be free to play, and it's definitely not the be-all end-all solution. Just look at multiverses. But if you take a look at this image of the options you have on the FPS genre, and then this image of the options you have on the fighting game genre, you can see there's a serious lack of free or cheap options compared to the expensive ones. Free-to-play games are often looked down upon for their scummy practices, and rightfully so, but they're still important since they act as gateways into games for new players. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say in this video. If there's anything you should take away, it's play BlazBlue.